How long did you test your strategy of trading? Well, my strategy is not purely technical, so it's a bit hard to back test thoroughly fundamentals. However, there are ways to do it. You can back test fundamentals by saying, you know, how important is retail positioning? How important is GDP, PMIs? How do these things impact the market? And I find them to be very, very key, very, very important in my testing. Look at historically, these things are powerful indicators of an economy. They're powerful indicators. And again, I put out a tweet recently that I do think strongly that fundamental analysis leads, and I think the technicals kind of lag. At the end of the day, it's the story, it's the fundamental story that's driving prices. The technicals are just reflecting it. So anyways, yeah, fundamentals are fascinating when they play out. They absolutely are, man. They're so intriguing. Anyways, let's have a look at some stuff here. The S&P 500 still kind of pulling back, choppy price action. Really regimented selling here, ticked back up a little bit today. I'm very curious to see where the S&P goes. I mentioned yesterday that I was kind of poaching for a pullback on the Dow Jones. Here's the US 30. I'll show you on the daily chart. I think it could be a good pullback buy, 39,200, 39,150. That was the chart area that I marked up yesterday. I do still like the fundamental story long for stocks, just been waiting for a pullback. I might be getting it here for a trade on US 30. If this level doesn't work out, perhaps I'll try again at a lower point if you do get a complete retrace down to this 38,450 level. So yeah. Why do you have two channels? The A1 trading channel is not just me. It's several contributors, several people on there. My channel is just me. And of course, my wonderful guests and co-hosts that come on the live stream show. But the A1 trading, James does some great stuff over there. We do other people getting featured on there. My own channel, I focus mostly on just my personal ideas. The A1 trading is more of a community channel, and my channel is my channel. Like to the stream, mates? Yes, please. If you guys could support the show by hitting that thumbs up button. Okay, so let's see. Are we going to get the pullback in the Dow? That would be interesting to me today. I do think we still have, US 30 still getting a bullish read on the edge finder. So that's confirming that bias. Gold is bullish. US oil is bullish. Actually, USO, not only is USO bullish, it ticked up to very bullish. We have a very strong reading here on USO, which is US oil, which I'm glad about. I'm in these trades. So when I see the edge finder, I took the trades because the edge finder was, sourcing this data and saying, okay, we're leaning bullish. And then I found the technical setup and I went long. But it's really nice when I see the trades that I'm in continuing to show bullish readings after I'm into them. That's just extra confirmation. So I'm, again, riding the ones that I'm already in. I'm long oil, I'm long gold, and just letting these things run. Gold here, making a bit of a move. Here's the 4-hour chart. So 4-hour chart, we made a huge advancement, right? Fed, basically still expected to cut interest rates. Basically dollar weakened dramatically. And then, they reiterated 3 rate cuts and the market rallied. So the market for gold here is loving the consensus that rate cuts are still in the picture. Market absolutely loves that, right? So we shoot up, we consolidate sideways, and then we broke out again. So technicals here, I love the technical story. I've made this pretty clear in my recent videos, and I sound like a broken record to the regular viewers, so I apologize, but nothing has changed, so I'm just going to repeat it. This area of support, as long as this remains support, I'm going to stay long gold. And have the days dragged on that I've been in this trades now? I have 2 trades now. Yes, it's been a while. I've been in this trade for some time. This recent trade, I've even been in some time now because it has chopped around a little bit, but it looks like it's trying here, guys, to break this level here to the upside. I mentioned at the beginning of this week, after this big pullback, yes, that's kind of a quote unquote bearish reversal chart. And while it did signal a very short-term little, sell-off, I mentioned at the beginning of this week that I think it's more likely that we break through the highs here than break through the lows and stop out. So that's why I stayed in the trade.
Did you know Trader Nick has a daily live show every Monday through Friday? Nick and our featured traders give their thoughts and analysis and even share their trades live for you every morning. We cover news events live as well, watching markets spike and then giving analysis immediately following. If you want to join the live stream community, look out for our live stream schedule on the A1 Twitter account each week, or consider turning on notifications and never miss another news event.
That being said, we've got to prove it here now. We are trying to break higher. Let's see, can gold close outside of the top of this range here? Top of the range is right around 2180, let's call it. That's where we've seen a bit of resistance come into this market. I'd love to see a closure outside of that today or tomorrow or sometime this week. That would be great. That would show, okay, bulls are convicted to the upside. Then we can start to look for any sort of higher low to trail stops further. So I haven't trailed my stop in a minute. I've been in this trade again, like I said, for some time. After the pullback, I added to the trade, went sideways, and I've just been, stop has been trailed. It's sitting there. I'll show you my GLD, where the position actually is. What the GLD? Okay, there we go. Here's GLD, right? So stop is trailed just below, same level. I trade the ETF because as a US trader, I can't trade XAU USD, which is a CFD, right? Contract for differences. I can't trade that. So I am just trading GLD. You can also trade futures, but I like that I can trade ETFs directly on WeBull integrated with TradingView, which is really nice. By the way, I think WeBull is bringing futures. It's coming, and I'm really excited about that because if I could trade futures on WeBull on TradingView, then I have everything that I've ever wanted. That would be great. Anyways, yeah, so that's where we're at with gold, watching to see if we can get the breakout. And again, confirmations from the Edge Finder looking great. Really, again, very nice to see when you're in a long position that the Edge Finder is continuing to kind of back the idea, right? So these are your more bullish assets. One thing to mention, I mentioned this recently, but I'll repeat it here for a second. Look at all the pound, UK related stuff getting very bearish readings here. Even the FTSE, the UK stock market, is getting a -4 and hovering towards bearish territory, which I thought was kind of interesting as well. Why is this? Why is it getting such a bearish reading? Well, you can always check the logic, the scoring, by just looking to the right-hand side of the screen. So everything over here is being factored, everything from equipment or traders data to economic stats like retail sales, inflationary numbers like CPI, employment change, unemployment, GDP numbers, right? The Edge Finder pulls that data in, and then it calculates bullish and bearish readings for each and every category, tallies it up. And again, there's no way you could do this by hand every day. I used to try, and it would take me so long to do. So we built software to accomplish that same goal of getting a pulse check on all of the fundamental data in one place. I sold puts on TLT, which, if you're not familiar with what TLT is, in fact, I'll show you my WeBull here. Let's go to chart. So I sold puts on TLT here recently. I have two at this point. One is likely to expire very soon. This $92 strike price expires March 27th. So that one will probably expire out of the money, which is good because I sold the put. And I also sold puts at $93 a share for 26th of April. What does this mean? What if you're somebody who is not an options trader? I'll bring it back to kind of the other side of things. Basically, I'm thinking that yields could continue to come down, and yields coming down would kind of be like, okay, Fed's going to cut rates. That story is still intact, and I think it is. I think it is likely that we do see rate cuts this year, unless you get some sort of drastic change and really stubborn inflation. I think there's a pretty good shot, and if that happens, I think that the 20-year yield and 10-year yield and 2-year yield could all come down. What that means for markets will be up for debate. Is that going to be a really positive thing for markets? Other people might say, oh, that's going to sign that the economy is really slowing and that perhaps a recession is coming. I wouldn't be surprised if the second half of this year, there's heavy debate in financial markets about whether or not we're going to go into recession again, right? That was a big debate in 2023. I wouldn't be surprised if that debate comes back, and perhaps that's kind of the bear case once we actually do see rate cuts, maybe the bear case becomes, well, this market has been pumped up for so long. Maybe the rate cuts are also because the economy is really starting to show weakness. Maybe a recession's coming, and everyone kind of would understand that a recession could really hurt company earnings and probably drop the stock market by 15 to 30%. Am I saying that I think that's going to happen? No, not necessarily. I'm just saying I think that debate, that possibility, could come back into the picture and threaten this beautiful, perfect chart. And again, I'm kind of in the idea of thinking I can continue to play it until it ends, but I just think that probably will resurface more aggressively. Right now, like bulls are just roaring loud, and bears are pretty much silent on Wall Street. Like it is a one-sided trade right now, which kind of does concern me. But for the meantime, as a trader, I think that we'll just watch what happens.
I'm still looking at gold.
Mm.
I'm still in GDX, but I think today and the rest of this week we're going to want to see lower consumer confidence. I don't think this FOMC meeting on Wednesday really counts for anything. We're going to want to see lower GDP on Wednesday, and probably higher PCE on Friday if you're a gold bull. And then also you would want to see it surpass this $2,200 mark. So if we can close above there, then we kind of avoid this what might be a head and shoulders pattern. So we can get past this, we'll probably see another run up to the 2220s, but hoping that price at least stays above this level so it can hold on the previous all-time highs with that sort of news coming out. It would be nice to see that the gold trend continues.
Yeah, and Frank, what do you think about the dollar? I mean, can these both go up at the same time? The dollar's been trending up a little bit, but gold hasn't been really beaten down much by it at all. Do you have any thoughts on the dollar right now?
I'm hoping it gets weaker. And I don't necessarily think that gold and dollar could run together. Maybe there's some argument for that, but gold trades directly against it, and it's kind of the whole point of this, or at least what I'm seeing, is a hedge against the dollar. So this and Bitcoin, things like assets that are trading directly against the dollar seem, strongly favored in my opinion. So I'm hoping that the dollar doesn't continue up, and I also don't think that they can move together unless you have an argument for it.
No, I think you're right. In fact, I think what is kind of what could be kind of confusing is that I think it's more yields right now than the dollar. Like if you want to talk about gold and the dollar, I think you really want to talk about gold and yields, because if yields go up, that's not great for gold. But if yields go down, that is great for gold. The difference there, I think, is that if you're looking at the DXY, what you're also really looking at is the dollar against its peers. Like you're also looking at Europe, you're also looking at the UK, right? And so if they're like super dovish too, it can actually make the dollar look strong. Whereas yields are, we're looking at the US Treasury yield, and that has a direct impact on gold heavily, because again, if yields are up, it's going to be kind of a higher for longer idea, which would not be great for gold. And if they're trending lower, that'd be great for gold. So there is actually some correlation risk for me, Frank, on that TLT trade that I have. So I sold puts on TLT. It's easier to see it on WeBull. I played around with my charts here on WeBull. I don't know if I like the red. I think I need to make it a little brighter. But anyways, I sold puts on TLT. You know that I've got one that's expiring very soon. And then I put one, as we talked about yesterday. I mentioned yesterday, you and I were chatting about this. You were right. It was 93. I don't know why I said 92. It was a $93 strike price on TLT that I sold puts on. So you were right about that. I wouldn't mind. I had also a conversation with this on yesterday's podcast or video with Chris. We'll have him on here in just a second. But Chris and I talked about this too. TLT, I wouldn't mind personally owning a little of my portfolio. I think Chris was looking a little further out, but maybe we'll hear from him on that front in just a little bit. Frank, what about the indices? The S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow. I mentioned that I've been shaping up this potential trade on the Dow for a pullback. Again, do I think I mentioned this just before you came on? Do I think that there's like a potentially bigger corrective move coming for the stock market at some point? But I really am not a bear, and I think that I'm just going to trade this momentum until it breaks.
Yeah,
but again, cautiously, very cautiously.
I'm with you. There's a trend line that needs to be broken for me to feel some kind of way about the market, and maybe it will get there, maybe it won't, but as long as it stays above, I think that the NAS is still in a good position. And in terms of news, last week was pretty dovish. The dollar reacted in kind of a strange way, in my opinion, where it just saw a lot of demand. And now this week is sort of, I guess, a unraveling of that. It seems that there's less bullishness around the dollar and more so in the indices. Like we saw the COT reports on Monday, buying up the indices, buying gold, heavily selling dollar. So as a result, I was looking at a couple options plays, and I just really resorted to a very simple one. I took a call on the Qs. So it expires Thursday, but it was a in the money call, so it's got a hit. I believe it was 448 something at expiration to break even or something. But right now I'm in the green, and I put a stop.
How far out is it, Frank? Is the strike price like the expiration date like a weekly? Is it a monthly?
Yeah, it expires this Friday.
Oh, okay. I think I missed that.
Thursday.
Sorry.
My bad. It expires Thursday. But
okay,
I have that.
Very cool.
I have some verticals that expired last week. I have I actually have a Tilray vertical going on right now because of the cannabis market was popping off because of the rescheduling talks. They're talking about taking weed out of a Schedule 1 drug, so that any kind of news like that was causing a lot of hype. So I took a vertical on Tilray just to see. It was relatively cheap, so if it expires above, I think $2, I'll be fine. So
some of these MJ stocks, Frank, they're getting quite high, if you will. They're making big runs this morning, this week. They're making moves. I mean, it's a crazy space in general. I remember, Frank, when there was the last election and people were like, is Trump going to win, Biden going to win? A lot of people thought that actually I can't remember. Was Biden like pro this area, or was he anti this area? Somebody was really anti it. I can't remember who it was. Do you remember?
I don't think he really talked about this. He talked about solar and clean energy.
I remember that. And we'll probably have this same debate coming up this year with elections. There are certain areas of the market that will either love or very much dislike the president that takes over or that stays in, right? Like insurance and healthcare and technology, and like certain sectors definitely have a foot in the door in terms of who they would like to win. So I wonder how that could potentially impact this area of the market as well as several others. But I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Did you know we do a live trading show Monday through Friday with guests from all over the world? To get notified when we go live, click the bell button next to the subscribe button or check in at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We have helpful, free content in the description below and on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching today's video, and we'll see you tomorrow.